Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And wow, woo, these little tiny bugs are out here. What a beautiful day. And I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And please be gentle with yourself. I know some of you out there. Well, I'm getting to know you. I don't really know you, do I? So anyway, I love you so much. And also, if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. And you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't be afraid, don't be shy. Swing by and say hi to Starlight by leaving Starlight a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your family, your friends. Some deer. Starlight fed some deer out here. They ate all where the apples go. And I'm going to say a raccoon. Plus, not only you could share my videos, you can also check out my playlist, because you never know what Starlight was talking about before, so you don't want to miss out. There might be something that you could use right now. So check out my playlist. And also you could find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. And not only that is for those out there who would love to send Starlight extra love, you can. And I have a Cash App, and you can do that, and I will put the information here. Ping, there it is. So you could send donations of love to Starlight, because you really don't know what Starlight's been through. Some of you do, but man, there's a lot I don't tell you. It's much for myself. So anyway, I do love you. So thank you to those out there who have helped Starlight on this journey. Plus, also a big, huge thank you to all of you who have been here watching my videos, giving me thumbs up, subscribing to my YouTube channel, leaving messages down below, or even sharing my videos. Thank you. Or even subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you. So I got all these different topics. So today we're going to talk about what is shadow work. You know, you hear a lot about shadow work, working on your, and I'll tell you what, it's layers to that, shadow work. I've been, my whole life, I've been working on myself, because I knew if I didn't, things were not going to turn out good later on. You could feel it. You could feel it in you. You're like, something doesn't feel right. I gotta, I need to work on myself. And that is why it's so important that you don't get distracted. Don't get pulled away. Don't listen to all this stuff out there, because, there's a lot of distractions. And like where I am right now, holy shit. The energy is not good where I am right now, and there's a lot of fakeness. There's a lot of people wearing masks all over the place. And I'm going to talk about this really quick, just for an example, is that I go into food pantries hoping to get fresh vegetables and fresh fruit and some wheat bread and other goodies to help me out with dinner. And so a lot of times, it's really crazy, and this happens all around everywhere you go, is that even people that are at food pantries are wearing a mask. And they have titles, putting the name Christian in front of a food pantry. Like, we're just going to make up a name. I'm not going to say the name of the food pantry, but the Christian food pantry. Okay, let's go in there. The Christian food pantry. Okay. So you got to watch out, even people that claim that they're Christians. Red flags all over the place. Just because they put a title out there, just because there's a church that has a name on it, it doesn't mean that's where you want to go to. There's a lot of wickedness going on in the churches. Yes, I did say that, and I'm not pulling back on that. No way. You know, I've been in them. You know, I know what it's like. So, so there's fakeness going on. There's people that are not being real. And that's about shadow work. I'm going to just put that out real quick. That's a part of shadow work. And there's levels to that. Levels and levels and levels and levels and levels. You think you're done with the levels? No, there's more. So on everything, all kinds of stuff. So like now back to the story with the Christian food pantry, you know. So you would think that the Christians in there that call, you know, like that's the title, you know, like to a food pantry. And first thing I'm sitting there and, you know, waiting because, you know, you got to sign in first so then they can talk to you, ask you questions and see how they can help you. And so it is strange where there's a lot of people out there that have food pantries, and you know where they're sending the people? Right to the government. You know, they're sending you right to the government, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes that a lot of people are not aware of, you know. So when you're telling them God's going to take care of everything, but they're Christians and they're like, well, why don't you have a B plan? No, God is my plan. What if, you know, I have faith in God, but you're telling me that God's not going to pull me through this? You're telling me that I need to go to the government for help? You know, in the same building when I went here is, you know, they had books for kids. I love seeing kids read. But what kind of books did they have in this Christian food pantry? A bunch of Santa Claus books. You think God's pleased with that shit? Absolutely not. Because they're serving more than one master. You know, first to tell me that God's not going to do what I'm saying, that God's going to take care of all my needs. No, you need to go to the government. You really need to go to the, you need to, do I need to go? No, I have God. Those aren't Christians. Yeah, I said that. Those aren't Christians. I said, I'm not worried about it. God's going to take care of all my needs. But they're acting like God's not going to take care of all my needs. Well, I thought they would inspire me and say, wow, I'm impressed. But no. Go to the government. I go, well, didn't they just have a shutdown with that? I said, well, yeah. Well, they said yes. I said, well, what do the people do then? Well, they come back to us. Well, why would I need to go to the government for? I have God. So watch out there. Just because somebody puts a label and puts Christian on that, that's a part of this whole thing here with not to trust every spirit. Holy shit, you'll get yourself in a whole lot of trouble. Ask me, because I know, you know, I've gone to churches thinking, hey, you know, I'm going to grow here. Oh, man. They were sucking the life out of me is what they were doing. And there's people out there, they see the light, they see you, and they want to destroy you. They're not out to help you. It's all fake. It's an illusion. So watch out, you know. Just because you go to a place and it says Christian, where does it say that, you know, to have like Santa Claus books for the kids? If they want Santa Claus books, let them go get it. That should not be in that building. You know, that totally goes against everything of God. And I know I offended some of you. That's okay. I'm not here to people please. So it's about God. And the shadow work is getting to the raw, authentic you. It's painful. There's people, you know, I know they're not always honest out, you know, out in the world. You know, they're wearing a mask still, you know, and there's beautiful people out there, but they could be wearing a mask, you know, putting a mask on and not being 100% honest. Well, that's a part of the, you know, God wants us to be honest. Even in my situation, people will ask me questions and I'll get messages, you know, from the universe ahead of time saying, Starlight, make sure you're being honest to everybody. Oh, okay. There's levels about being honest. You know, it's dealing with these things that we've through, you know, since we entered through the womb, you know. I mean, yeah, like with me, you know, You know, what was Starlight eating when she was in the womb? Some alcohol? Give me some alcohol. Yeah, Starlight wants some alcohol. You know, so babies go through a lot when they're in the womb. If the mother's stressed out, if the mother's drinking alcohol and doing drugs, that baby's already got a war going on inside before she even, he or she even gets out of the womb, out of that portal. And so I'll tell you, you gotta really, it's a lot of work. It's an inside work, and it's painful. Blood, sweat, and tears is what I say, because that's what it is. It's God is gonna mirror things in you that you need to work on. You all have a free will. You all have a choice, whether you do the work or you don't. You can act like you don't have a problem there, but you know what? God's going to keep on mirroring that to you and showing you, you got to work on that. And then people wonder, how come things are not happening? Well, are you being honest to other people? Are you being honest to yourself? Are you being, because God knows. You might think you got the people fooled. Maybe you do on some people. Other people, they might I see through your bullshit. I know you're not being totally 100% honest with me. You never can fool God. You might be able to fool your parents. You might be able to fool your friends that you call as friends. But God, you'll never fool. So those are the things that, God is going to bring that up to attention, and God can use anybody. God will use anyone to point something out in your life, and you can get mad. You can have a freaking fit. Like demons popping out of you. Because you got comfortable with that in you. You're letting that run your life. There's because it's spirituality, but in Christian way, going to church, it would be sins. All these sins. What are you doing that is not God pleasing? Are you envying other people? Are you hoping that other people fall or fail? Keeping your heart right with God and with yourself and the people around you, but mainly first you. Hang on, I got it. You first need to, you can't fool God. You could try your darnest, but you're never going to fool God. God's already how many steps? God's already how many steps ahead of you? You'll never figure that out. So you got to be honest with yourself, first. And when you can be real with yourself, then you can learn to start being real with other people. Stop lying to people. Stop deceiving people, And it's layers, because, when we're doing something wrong, there's something inside of us, all of us, that think that we're getting away with it, Hang on, I got to see if I can get the lighting better here. Starlight's going to play Twister. So, it's about not being jealous of other people. And you might be with somebody, and how's your relationship with that person? Do you want to see them win? Do you want to, are you clapping them on, or do you get upset with them? Do you have family members that, they have all these things and you get upset because they have all those things? But are they happy? Are they happy with all those things? That's the thing that a lot of people, they don't see. I just seen a man this morning, and you know what? I know he's heading to work. He was miserable looking. He's getting his drink for getting out. He doesn't want to go to work. And then I seen a guy yesterday. He didn't want to go to work either. It's really facing yourself to the deep core. It's those demons that we all have, we all have them, and there's levels to that. Like you can have spirits, in the Bible, I was learning about, there's all kinds of different spirits out there, like spirits of drunkenness, the spirit of gambling, spirit of fornication, spirit of lying, spirit complaining. These are things that we need to work on. There's people that think, they got so used to living those lifestyles, and those are old versions of yourself, that you gotta say, hey, you know what? you helped me out before. Like sometimes, I used to justify lying, you know, to save my ass, if I didn't, if it's none of nobody's business, there's people that have been nosy and I knew that their motives were bad, where I wasn't really a big liar when I grew up. I was a real, but where did I learn that? Hang on, Starlight's late. So throughout life, we pick up different habits and things that are not always good for us. Sorry about this sun here. And that's what we have to work on, is to work on all those. I am so sorry. I had it's just everything is changing. This is the time. Whoopsie. Hey guys and girls. What it is that you got comfortable with those things and you don't even see that you might think I'm perfect the way I am, Starlight. There's no such thing. You get so comfortable with doing things that are not God-pleasing that you don't even see how many levels there are to work on. And that is what I had to, layer after layer after layer. It's like an onion, just, like of yourself, is letting go of those old versions that are no longer helping you and serving you. So it is painful because it's like kind of wearing your clothes. You got these certain clothes that you want to wear all the time or whatever, and now you got to change those clothes and wear something else, and you might not feel comfortable with that, so you got to do the shadow work. There's times that I had to do shadow work because the man of my dreams out there, my heart's desire, was pointing stuff at me, and believe me, I had to do the same thing to him. He wanted me. Imagine that, a man actually saying, hey, I'm helping you, but what are you doing to help me? You want me to actually point out flaws, but right now I don't see any flaws. But I'll tell you what, after I started getting to know the person, I was like, oh my, there is flaws. He's not perfect. So don't ever think that somebody's perfect out there. They're just covering it up really good, and you're going to help them take that mask off, and so they can really actually see what they need to work on. And it's painful, like the mask, the Jim Carrey, the mask, like when it got put on, it kind of just like, it's kind of funny how it would get put on, but it was hard to take that mask off. It was hard. He had a hard time taking that mask off. And that is how we are. It's the ego doesn't want us to work on ourselves. There's times things might have helped us out in the past. Like there's like a healthy fear and a not so healthy fear. The fear that kind of keeps you safe, is like not to go in certain areas, because if you go in those areas, something could happen. So that is like, you can say, fear, you know what, you served me for a period of time. Thank you, but I got to let that go. And like I was saying about lying, I used to lie a lot when I was younger, and where did I learn it, But after I got in jail when I was like 17 years old, bam, my lying and my stealing cold turkey, is, Starlight might have walked away with a pen later on in life, but my lying bit, holy cow, I really stopped lying a lot. I wasn't a good liar in the first place, but then there's layers to that, layers of how you lie. There's, like they say, there's, a little white lie or something like that, which is kind of funny. How it's not funny, it's how this matrix is, how they have white is supposed to be good and black is always supposed to be negative and bad, which that's not the case. We actually have both of those in us. But God wants us to do some house cleaning. Yeah, God could use a person that you can't stand and have them show you your flaws, show you the things that you're not doing right and that you got to let go of. Things that are like sin, if if I'm gonna, you know, like that for people that are out there that, sorry. Some little tickle. Wouldn't be surprised if I ate one of those bugs out here. So, so it is painful if you have somebody that you don't really like, or they don't like you, or it could even be a family member, somebody that really knows you, and you get in an argument, and bam, out of nowhere, they, you know, and it's not them. Because in the Bible it says that we're not fighting against flesh or blood. But there's times that God will use anyone to get your attention. To get your attention, shake you up, get you really mad. You're going to get mad at that person, but they're really in a disguise. They're not even aware of what happened, you know, and they might not even realize that they were being used. Imagine that. They're not even aware that they're being used. Now, some people, they're helping you. They want to help you out, and they see your flaws, and they might be like, hey, I love you. I got to show you this thing. And you still might get upset because it's a part of you that you got to let go of. And it's painful. And, you know, there's people that, you know, that are out here somewhere, and they are wearing a mask, but it's not just one mask. There's levels to how many masks they're wearing. And so I can make a video and they could say, oh yeah, Starlight. And I'm not, you know, there's more than one person out here that I'm speaking to. So just because I make a video, it doesn't mean that I'm talking to you always. You know, there's other people I'm reaching out to. Is that there's people that, oh yeah, Starlight, I'm one of the light workers out there. I'm out there. Yeah, I am. But they're wearing a mask. Or they're not even doing the work. They're pretending. So they gotta stop pretending. There's some people that I've met know in my life that they've lied and 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 lied so many times they believe their own shit. They believe their own shit. They believe their own lies after a while. That's what happens to people when they lie so much. They lose sight of who they really are, or who they could be. Because they lied so much, now they believe their own shit. So it's letting go of those aspects that we don't need anymore. It's things that are not here to help us out. You want blessings to come in. You want God to help you out with something. Maybe you're holding on to something that you need to let go of. Stop faking it to make it, because it's not going to work. You know, you got to be real, authentically real. You know, not caring what other people think. And there's layers to that. It doesn't, you know, there's so many layers of everything. Every topic, you know, there's a layer to that and a layer to it, you know. You just take one sheet at a time. Oh, there's, you know, okay. You're getting a little bit closer to the real, authentic you. Because now that's like a onion, like if you were just like a whole bunch of yous, you know. You know, a layer after layer. You know, like like the chakra pictures with all the colors, your aura and all that stuff. It's just taking one thin layer off of the same topic, like lion, you know. And God will be able to use you greater when you take all that out of the way. God will be able to talk to you and reach you, and you communicate with you. But if you're lying, if you're deceiving people, if you're not being real, then it's harder for God to help you out, because you're not willing to let that part of you go, you know. And so I love you so much. I really hope you get a lot of help from this video. So that's doing the shadow work. And it sometimes, I'll tell you what, it's blood, sweat, and tears. It's painful. Other times, depending on, you know, there's the layers at first are really heavy and they're hard, you know, but the more you work on those layers, you know, then it doesn't get so bad. And then later on, you're willing to let those things go, because you already got the other big thick layers off. So it's easier So I love you so much. So that is what like shadow work is about, is, you know, really being your authentic self, and on so many different levels, and there's layers to everything out here. So I love you. You could give this video a thumbs up. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you could share with the people out there that you know are being fake or being phony. Say, hey, check this starlight chick out. You might not have the balls to tell them what you want to say, but you can use me as a, you know, use me. Starlight would love to speak up for you, you know, and you might not have that voice yet. Use me. Say, here, check this video out. You'll get a lot of help. It'd be like, because you love them, right? You love them. So anyway, besides that, you could check out my playlist and find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that's Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you all. You gotta work on yourself. If you don't do the work, it's gonna freaking hurt. I love you. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.